Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. Tie-dye is such a fun style of shirt, but it can be pretty messy with all the dye and the water involved. Well, what if I told you there was an easier way? You can create a really cool tie-dye styled shirt with sublimation designs or infusible ink transfer sheets. It's simple and you can make intricate patterns with different folding methods. There's even a way to keep a spot open to add a design if you like I have here. So come with me to the craft table and we'll get started. If you've ever tie-dyed before, the materials and process are really pretty different, but the folding will still look familiar. I'll share my 3 favorite patterns and a few surprises to take them to the next level. I tried both printed sublimation designs and infusible ink transfer sheets for this technique, and I will show you the results at the end of this video. I'm curious which approach you prefer. Be sure to let me know in the comments. If you want to try the printed sublimation tie-dye method, you'll need the usual sublimation tools and supplies. I used my converted Epson EcoTank printer with Hippo ink, but you can use any sublimation printer with sublimation ink, of course. I printed my designs on 125-gram A-sub sublimation paper, which worked perfectly with these white and gray polyester shirts that you see here. I used men's medium shirts for these projects, but you can adapt the process to other sizes, of course. And you don't need all the elastic bands or string that comes with traditional tie-dye. We'll hold the design in place with heat-resistant tape and white cardstock during pressing. White butcher paper will help keep any extra sublimation dye from getting on your press. Now I use my Cricut Auto Press for this, but you can certainly use a Cricut Easy Press with a large pressing mat or even a traditional heat press. The tools are similar for the infusible ink process, and there are so many patterns available, it's hard to pick just one to try. I tried a few using a full sheet, but I'll also show you how to use cut scraps. Watch for that toward the end of this video. Now, as with any sublimation project, a lint roller will help you with preparation. And of course, proper ventilation is always important, so open a window or have a gentle fan going to dissipate the fumes. And remember that I mentioned adding a design with tie-dye? You totally can do this. I'll show you how to use adhesive paper to keep the dye off the chest area, like I've done here, and then we'll use one of my t-shirt guides to get the placement correct. You can find them at jennifermaker.com/t-shirt ruler guide, and they're super easy to make. Have a pencil handy and some scissors too. And of course, the designs. We've created 4 colorful designs that are backgrounds. Aren't these cool? And they're ready for you to start with. They already look like tie-dye actually, but wait until you see how we use them. The free download folder also has 3 illustrated designs that you can use with the backgrounds. So let me show you where to grab these free files and then how to make a cool sublimation tie-dye t-shirt. Step 1, get or prepare a sublimation design. Any colorful, high-quality PNG file will create a fun look with this sublimation tie-dye technique. But you can use my files to get started. You can use the backgrounds by themselves or combine them with another design from the free collection. Your options are a tie-dye blue rainbow background design, a tie-dye red rainbow background design, a tie-dye background with cool colors, and another with warm colors. And then there's a positive energy design, a happy design, and a be kind design. To find these files, go to jennifermaker.com/466 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top. Then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. You can find the designs on the page by searching for number 466 and click it to download the zip file. I'll prepare the blue background and the happy design for printing in Google Docs. It's free and my favorite way to print sublimation designs. If you're not sure how to print that way, just follow the steps in my sublimation t-shirts tutorial at jennifermaker.com/sublimation t-shirt to print your designs. I'm going to use 2 rounds of the background, so I printed 2 copies, filling the 8.5 by 11 inch sublimation paper. Printing the happy design at 7.5 inches wide in the middle of the paper will work well for my shirt, but you can experiment with other dimensions if you like. Step 2, prepare your t-shirt. I'm using a Cricut auto press for my t-shirts, but you can also use a traditional heat press or a Cricut Easy Press on a pressing mat if you prefer. Preheat your press to 385 degrees Fahrenheit and set the time to 10 seconds so we can preheat the shirt. Remember, open a window or set up a fan to improve your ventilation since sublimation does create fumes. Now, since we'll be sublimating all over the shirt, be sure to lint roll the front thoroughly to remove dust or debris that could impact the design transfer. Then preheat the entire shirt in sections to remove moisture and start with a smooth surface, even though we'll be adding wrinkles to get the tie-dye look. Now let's mask the area for the main design with adhesive paper. Trim your design close to its outline and place it face down on the adhesive's backing. Trace the design and then cut the sheet just a little larger than the outline. Line up the correct t-shirt guide and use it to place the mask. I'm going to put mine on a polyester men's medium crew neck shirt. Remove the backing and place the mask on the shirt. We'll scrunch it up while tie-dyeing, so make sure it's really secure. Step 3, fold and sublimate your shirt. Just like traditional tie-dyeing, the way you fold the shirt before adding the dye is what really creates the design. You can experiment with different techniques and combinations, but here are some of my favorite methods. We'll layer the materials in the same way each time. We'll start with clean white cardstock to protect the pressing area, and then put down the shirt, and then the design secured face down with heat-resistant tape, and then fresh white butcher paper to protect the press. Then you'll press each round at 385 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 seconds. Now let's learn the folds. The circular fold. This technique creates a traditional tie-dye look, but adding a second round has a more intricate result. And you don't have to stop at 2. With your shirt face up on the cardstock, pinch both layers right in the middle. Twist counterclockwise just a bit. You can see the folds start to form. The top white sections are what you really want to dye to get a fun pattern, so making sure the folds that form are pretty consistent will help here. Define the folds by pinching them tight as you keep twisting. If you're using the adhesive, you'll really need to pinch up the folds under it. That way, the design won't look totally different on each side of the design space. As the center gets bigger, you can smooth the folds around it instead of twisting the whole thing. Once you're satisfied with your folds, place the sublimation print on top so the fabric is completely covered. The folded shirt is pretty thick and will squish down during pressing, but we want to keep it as still as possible to retain the twirled design and avoid ghosting. Taping the design paper to the cardstock instead of the fabric makes a little package to help contain the shirt. Place a clean sheet of butcher paper on top, completely covering the project, and press at 385 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 seconds. When the time is up, you can remove the butcher paper. To prevent ghosting, let the print cool for a few minutes as the sublimation process finishes. Then remove the tape and the paper. Open up your shirt. It looks good, but I want more color, so let's do another round. You don't want any extra dye from the first round to reactivate, so place a clean sheet of cardstock on the pressing mat and put your shirt back on top. Smooth it so the folds will be more consistent. Twist the shirt the same way, but try to fold up areas without color. You can tuck colored areas inward so more white can get in the next round of dye. Tape your next print on top in the same way. It can be the same pattern or something totally different. That's the fun part of this project, all the different results that you can get. Now put a clean piece of butcher paper on top and press again at 385 degrees for 60 seconds. Let the shirt sit again and then reveal the design. Once the adhesive is totally cool, peel off the mask. It should have blocked most of the dye, but if some got through, that will be fine. Tie-dye is not supposed to be perfect, right? To add the final design, place your t-shirt on the pressing mat on top of clean cardstock. Put another clean sheet of cardstock inside the shirt under the design area. Tape the image face down to the shirt and cover the entire shirt in the pressing area with a clean sheet of butcher paper. There's lots of dye in the fabric, so it's important to keep the heating element clean. Press one more time at 385 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 seconds. And there you go, a homemade tie-dye shirt using the circular fold method. The Accordion Fold. The Accordion Fold is another classic tie-dye pattern. It creates lines of dye and white areas instead of the more curved look of the circular fold. Put a clean piece of cardstock on the pressing mat. Prepare your blank shirt the same way as before, but this time we'll fold sections into pleats instead of twisting. Starting at the bottom of the shirt and working upward, make accordion folds of the same height horizontally. When you have folded the length of the shirt, even the arms and neck, gently fold it in half at the center to make a U shape. Place your print on top and start taping it to the cardstock. Tuck the shirt under the print as needed. Place a clean sheet of butcher paper on top and then press at 385 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 seconds. Once you've revealed the design, you can add more color with a second round. Just remember to pleat up the white areas. Scrunching. This method is the easiest out of the three, but the results are harder to predict. To me, that's some of the appeal of tie-dye. I'll show you how to add color to both sides this time. If you're adding a design, tie-dye both sides before removing the mask and adding it. Put your shirt on top of the clean cardstock. Now all you need to do is scrunch the shirt toward the center so it's small enough to fit under the print. It's very free-form. Place the print on top of the shirt and secure it with heat-resistant tape. Cover everything with butcher paper and press it at 385 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 seconds. You can do multiple pressings with this method too. Just scrunch the shirt again, making sure that you show more blank white shirt. To decorate the back, just flip the shirt over and follow the same process. Infusible Ink Alternative. If you don't have a sublimation printer, this is a great project for infusible ink sheets, even scraps. Fold up your shirt using your favorite fold with cardstock underneath it. Then place the infusible ink sheet face down on top and secure it with the heat-resistant tape. Cover the shirt with butcher paper and press it at 385 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 seconds. This is a bit different than the Cricut heat guide recommends, but it's how I got the most consistent results, so your process might vary. Infusible ink is a sublimation process, so be sure to let it cool like the others, and then remove the papers and tape. Looks pretty similar, don't you think? And just like the printed designs, you can do multiple pressings with infusible ink transfer sheets as well. Just remember to replace your white cardstock each time. Scraps Alternative. For an even more creative approach, grab some scraps of infusible ink transfer sheets or old sublimation prints. Then cut or tear them to fit your folded shirt like puzzle pieces. I didn't even tape them down to allow for some shifting and different intensity in the transfer, but try out both ways. The scrunch fold worked best for me, but experimenting is so much fun. Cover the shirt with butcher paper and press at 385 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 seconds. Again, you can do as many pressings as you like. Just keep refolding your shirt and adding more scraps. Isn't the tie-dye effect so fun and much less messy than working with bottles of dye and lots of water? This is a win-win. Now, as you can see, the different folding techniques really make all the difference, just like with normal tie-dye. Your preference will depend on the look that you want, of course. If you want an organic, free-flowing result, scrunching is the way to go. And it's much easier to get a complementary result for a two-sided shirt since there isn't a pattern. If you want a pattern, the accordion fold takes some patience and time, but I love the lines that it creates. I showed you how to fold from the bottom to make a horizontal design, but you can mix it up, of course. Fold your pleats from the side or even at an angle, and then share photos of your completed shirts with me. I want to see them. And of course, the swirl is the closest to the traditional center burst tie-dye design. I've seen other crafters use a series of swirls, twist in different directions, or make tighter or looser folds to really customize their shirts. They're all really, really fun. I'm sure you can come up with a cool idea too. No matter which way you fold, I hope that you'll try out the scraps approach. It is such a fun way to use up extra pieces of sublimation designs or infusible ink transfer sheets. Since sublimation ink becomes part of the shirt's fibers, these shirts will last ages. However, I do wash my shirts in cold water with regular detergent to keep them looking crisp and colorful. Don't use any bleach on these and dry them on medium or low heat. That way you can enjoy them for years. If you need help getting started with sublimation, be sure to check out my Sublimation Startup mini course at jennifermaker.com/sublimation startup. I walk you through choosing and setting up your printer with the right ink, show you in more detail all of the tools that you can use, and the variety of things that you can sublimate onto, even things you might not have thought you could do. And then I show you how to use software to print and press beautiful projects. You can sign up right now over at jennifermaker.com/sublimation startup. I also have a group just for sublimation crafting where you can get help and tips from other crafters who love to sublimate too. Come join us at jennifermaker.com/sublimation group to ask questions, share ideas, and get inspired. It is an awesome group. If you have any questions about making these fun tie-dye shirts or anything else sublimation related, please let me know. Leave your question below this video or come ask over in our sublimation group at jennifermaker.com/sublimation group. And that's it for today. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.